Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, halftime is over with, and we are on to the third quarter this morning. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget, you can chime in. Hit us up, 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. Join in on the Section 105 chat on our video stream on YouTube. We're going to get back to some more Brewers and baseball talk and such. So give us your first quarter grades. Now that the Brewers' first quarter of the season is officially in the books, what grade would you give this ball club? All right. We got Twins coming up. Brewers are going to be just across the border from us. I know a few of you are probably heading on over to that game. I wish I was. I'd like Target Field. Target Field's a nice place. I do enjoy the view in that ballpark. So, but we're going to play a little AEGM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle coming up here in just a little bit. We've got Local Sports Roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center here in a hot minute. Let's kick off this hour, though, with a little cream of the crop. And Brandon, who is your? Do you want to switch mics? I could switch mics for you so it's easier for you. I'll do that for you because I'm a nice guy. So you're a cream of the crop. Oh, wait, wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
So you're not going to?
No.
You know what? I am going to, I think, just stick with, it's funny because I think it was a couple weeks ago I went with kind of just Minnesota sports in general, but I got to go with Colorado. I mean, that comeback and that Nathan McKinnon shot to go ahead, I mean, that was an absolute snipe. Like, right now, it seems like in the NHL there's two teams in the playoffs who are just kind of a cut above. It's Colorado and Carolina. Mm-hmm. I mean, those two teams they seem like they're on a collision course. We'll see. And if we get that is going to be one heck of a Stanley Cup final.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My cream of the crop, I'm going to go Jacob Mizorowski right now for how well he is pitching. I thought about doing a little Bryce Terang, but I mean, Miz with the Yankees and then what he did with the Padres and such. I got to go with cream of the crop for Jacob Mizorowski. That dude is unbelievable. So, but all right, shall we do a little Local Sports Roundup?
Sure, I'm scrambling here, but yeah, we can do that.
You want me to stall for you?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll stall. If you want to chime in on your favorite team's NFL schedule release too, please do so. We do have Mark from EC saying, as a Dolphins fan, not expecting a lot this season, 6-11, but I always look at how many cold weather away games they have towards the end. Well, Mark, does that mean you're going to be going to Packers cold weather one when your team, the Dolphins, come to town? Packers South, come back north. Jeff Halfley, John Eric Sullivan, Malik Willis. So we need a Packers West. We need a Packers because we got the East with Pittsburgh. I'm counting them as Packers East. And we go visit them. We don't have necessarily a Packers West. Unless we call the Arizona because, I mean, we got LaFleur head coach, but Hackett's the offensive coordinator, so maybe a little bit there, and they come in preseason. So, but yeah, Issa. Okay, I think we got that covered. So, but how about this too? What's your favorite game on the schedule? Like when you're looking that up, you're circling that one. Is like I cannot wait for that one. Maybe some of you are excited about a Packers Bears Christmas Day game. Maybe that's the one you're circling. Maybe it's the Wednesday night of the Rams, or maybe it's something completely different. What's the most intriguing game? Maybe, what's the most intriguing game for you on the docket here? So hit us up. Text it 715-830-1912. Or again, you can join in on the Section 105 chat room. All right. Are you good now, Brandon? Let's do some Local Sports Roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center.
All right.
You want to start off with some softball? Because I think I saw you last night, Stanley Boyd.
Yeah, we will do that. So we'll start with softball in the Western Clover Belt last night. A conference champion was crowned, Stanley Boyd. First time since 1998 that they won a conference championship in softball. And yeah, exciting fashion, 9-4 win over McDonald at Casper Park. Those two teams came in tied atop the conference, so winner take all. McDonald won the first meeting, Stanley Boyd won the second. So Stanley Boyd ends the conference season 13-1 in conference. McDonald game back. Bloomer, a game back of that at 11-3. They defeated McDonald in one of the two games in their doubleheader on Tuesday. That kind of opened the door for a potential outright conference championship for the Orioles. And I mean, those three teams are all, I think, teams that are going to be very kind of interesting to follow in the postseason. Bloomer and Stanley Boyd could play again in the postseason. They're both Division III. They met in the regular season. Stanley Boyd won those matchups, but they were competitive games. So we'll see McDonald in Division IV with the likes of Grantsburg and Colfax and Augusta, all teams having really, really good years. So that will be something interesting to keep note of. In the Big Rivers last night, Chippewa Falls has clinched at least a share of the conference championship in the for Big River softball. They can win it outright with one more win. They play two games against Eau Claire North next week, or they can get some help with if Hudson loses one more game. But either way, I mean, it's kind of trending obviously in that direction of another conference championship for Chippewa Falls, who has really, I mean, I forget the exact number, but I mean, they have finished no worse in the conference standings than second for the last 27 years, something like that. I mean, it's just a crazy number. But and that's a Chippewa team that they got a quad tomorrow up at Casper Park. We'll be playing some good teams there as we kind of get to the end of the regular season. I mean, we're a weekish out. I think there's even some playoff games maybe at the end of next week for quarterfinals and smaller divisions, if I remember correctly. I'm not positive on that though, but really the playoffs get going in earnest after Memorial Day.
Okay.
So and we got a lot of really good teams in this area, kind of poised to make a run. Baseball, Hudson's still on top of the Big Rivers, but they lost earlier this week to River Falls. So that actually opens the door a little bit for Chippewa Falls, who is a game back. Hudson won both those games there too, but Chippewa Falls still has 5 games left, and so is Hudson. But I mean, now they're a game back, so can another team trip up Hudson? We'll see, but. Chippewa Falls still has a lot on their plate. I know they won both games this week against Eau Claire North. Exciting fashion, especially Tuesday. Gavin Thompson with the walk-off home run in that game after North had fought back to even that game up. So exciting baseball coming up in the Western Clover Belts. I believe it was Fall Creek and Elk Mound splitting the conference championship there. So I mean, they've really been the top two teams in that conference this year, so it kind of makes sense that they're, splitting that conference championship. Two teams in Division III. They're going to be really fun to watch come the postseason. But that Division III section is going to be very interesting because there are a lot of Western Clover Belt teams, and just in general, there's a lot of familiarity, I think, with those teams. Even teams that are not in the same conference might have played each other. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to develop. And then, I mean, as we kind of move into next week, I mean, we've got a lot of conference tourneys coming up for different things. Track for the Big Rivers, their conference championships scheduled for Monday at Memorial. I know the Western Clover Belt's Tuesday in Fall Creek. So, next week is really kind of, I would say, for a lot of teams, a lot of sports, the end of the regular season, so to speak. I know next Tuesday as well, we've got coming up here the Clover Belt Boys Golf Championships. That's going to be down at Skyline, down Black River Falls. So yeah, we're here. We're here when it gets to that time of the year. So I think boys golf, I believe, is a week from yesterday, if my memory serves me correctly, for the Big Rivers.
Okay.
As far as the boys golf world goes, yes, and that's going to be up in Rice Lake at Turtleback.
Nice.
So they'll be going 18 holes there for the last time, in conference play to kind of cap it off. And the Big Rivers, this year's had. I mean, you've had a bunch of different teams that have kind of flexed their muscle at different times. It's going to be kind of interesting to see who kind of puts forth that last big effort that maybe puts one team over the top.
Mm-hmm. So I was going to bring up a couple things. Is that got it covered for some spring stuff? Or?
I think so. I mean, there's other stuff going on. We're gonna, boys tennis is kind of getting down to the, to the end of it here, and so many other sports. But yeah, I mean, we're it's here.
Because I wanted to bring up your piece where you chat a little bit with McDonald's new football coach.
Yes, Luke Oliver. Yep. New football coach. He's taking over the reins as McDonald makes the move into 11-player back this year, jumping into the Dunn St. Croix Conference. So, and he's super excited for the opportunity. An Eau Claire Regis graduate. Coached a couple tenures with the Ramblers under longtime coach Brian Brunner. So, has also coached, in a couple other states as well. Actually coached high school football in Florida for a bit and then over in Minnesota. So, someone that's, coming in at a unique time for the program, but is bringing a lot of energy and is just really excited for the opportunity. And, he's gotten a chance to know, some of the kids a little bit, and he's going to be a teacher in the high school for McDonald coming up next year. So he's really excited about that too, just because, something you hear about when you talk with coaches is the opportunity to be in the building every day. It's one thing to be the coach. It's another thing when you're there and you see these kids every day, and it really helps you kind of build those relationships. And that's something he's really excited about. And we're not too far away once we get to the fall. I mean, in McDonald jumping back into 11-player football with a bang. Week 1 they play Regis. So I mean that'll be that rivalry will be renewed for the first time since 2010.
Yeah. So
that should be kind of interesting to see, and really a nice litmus test, I guess, for McDonald kind of off the bat to see where they stand against a team that's always one of the best in the area.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, I saw you a few days ago on your Facebook page posted up, but we are getting close to the Express season, and a couple of pitchers.
The teams are we're starting to see the names for the Express, and in my neck of the woods, a couple Chippewa County pitchers with Easton Bob from Chippewa Falls and Warren Bovey from Cadott. Bob pitched for the Express last year. This will be Bovey's first year, but also I think Jake Busson from Hudson, who was a really important player for them last year. He's back. So, I mean, we're a week,
a week from Monday.
A little over a week away from the Express coming back. And, it's going to be exciting. I mean, chance to see a lot of these familiar names and the ultimate familiar name with Dale. So, you bet.
Exactly.
It should be a really fun time.
Absolutely.
Really fun summer. You'll be out there.
We will be. So, hopefully you will be.
I might have to join you.
So. All right, that's your local sports roundup brought to you by Carpet City Flooring Center. Let's take a quick break, and we'll play a little AGM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle coming up after these quick words. Coming up tomorrow, it's Barbecue Fest over at the Northern Wisconsin State Fairgrounds. You can head to nwsfa.com. Just click on Barbecue Fest on the top there for a schedule of events. Today, I know from 5 to 7 p.m., they got social and live music going on. But the fun will really get going tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m. when Barbecue Fest opens up to the public. Got a cornhole tournament going on, music going on, and at 1 p.m., the limited quantity of People's Choice ballots available for purchase. So I'll be over there for a little bit, hanging out next to our friends at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. I was thinking about doing a pod there, but I got no way to do it with. What are you doing tomorrow?
What time?
11. Maybe a little before.
Could maybe do something before.
Okay. We'll talk off there.
Yeah, we'll communicate.
We'll communicate it about it. So, but tomorrow, and then I'll have the Mo Man Cave there. We'll have some shirts and swags and stuff to give away in that too. So, C-Bomb turned me down. Surveyor turned me down.
Jeez.
So, I mean, I was trying to mix it up and trying to include those peeps, but
bombs.
They are. They really are. So, but all right, let's do some AGM Automotive Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, shall we? Let's do it. Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. Jacob Mizorowski is a top 10 pitcher in all of Major League Baseball.
I'm going to go full throttle right now. I mean, look at the numbers. It's hard to dispute.
I like how you enunciated dispute on that. Yeah, I'm going to go full throttle too, man. You look at the track record that he's on right now, or the trend that he's on right now. Heck yeah, he is. So, and the scary thing is too, Rand, I think he could still get better. I think he can still get, like Paul Skeens right now is just on a complete tear, and he has gotten a little bit. He set the bar really high, but you can tell, there's 3 instances where he's almost had no hitters or a perfect game against.
I don't know. His ERA has gone up every year. It went from like a 1.96 to a 1.97 to a 1.98.
What a bum!
What a bomb! He's gonna be in the 2s before you know it.
Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. Is Bryce Turang the best second baseman in all of Major League Baseball?
Right now, I will say Full Throttle, as the offense has caught up to the defense.
Mm-hmm. I would say Full Throttle, but I would not be surprised if he's not started in the All-Star game for the National League.
I would agree with that.
I think Nico Horner is going to get some more attention and praise and love and favorability and all that.
And Nico was a fantastic player, but I do think that Bryce Turang is having a better season.
I would agree with that 100%. I think it's a combination of Cubs, and Nico got the big contract, so there's a little bit more of the popularity contest that kind of goes into it and such. So, Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. How do I want to make sure I phrase this clearly.
Pump the brakes.
So somebody had brought up this because I was doing a chaperoning my kid's field trip on Wednesday, and they kind of talked about if the Dodgers win the World Series this year, is that is that going to be where a lot of things change and that sort of thing? And I said maybe, but also what doesn't help their case is the Mets right now,
right?
Where the Mets payroll are number one, technically, when you look at it, and they stink, and they're not playing well. So would you say Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, the Mets playing let's say the Mets miss the playoffs and they continue what they're doing right now, that would be a bigger hit than, for this whole, I'm referring to the lockout potential and labor agreements. That would be a bigger obstacle to kind of overcome or convince others than, say, the Dodgers winning the World Series again. You know what I'm trying to say?
I see what you're saying. Yeah. And I'll actually go Full Throttle because that is, look, amongst kind of this constant discussion about money and, in baseball and stuff like that, that's always kind of been the hang up for me, even though as someone who would, like to see the playing field be more quote unquote level, is spending a bunch of money hasn't necessarily guaranteed. Now, in the last 20 years, I think it is there's only been one team in the bottom half of payroll that has won the World Series, and that was the 27 Houston Astros, and I've got a story to tell you about them.
Okay.
Which, the joke there being, obviously, that was the trash can team.
Yeah.
But, so I think spending more money helps, but it's not a guarantee because you mentioned the Mets. Look at the Yankees. They haven't won a World Series since 2009.
Yeah.
That's kind of the duality of it. But, yeah, I think that's something that some people are going to be able to point to and say, hey, it makes a difference, but it doesn't guarantee you anything because, gestures at New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I get, maybe this is what I was maybe trying to say. Pump the Brakes Full Throttle. If the Dodgers don't win the World Series, the next best thing for them is maybe like the Tampa Bay Rays to win the World Series.
Or how about the Milwaukee Brewers?
Yeah, or the Milwaukee Brewers. I was trying to think of another team outside the National League.
Yeah.
Because then they could say, hey,
someone else did it, yeah.
Tampa Bay, look at where their payroll is, and they won the World Series.
Or Cleveland or something like that, yeah. I would say probably Full Throttle that for them, like trying to keep the rules as close to as what they are now,
mm-hmm.
which I'm assuming that's what they would want.
Right.
That would probably be the outcome for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just, I think there's going to be a debate, but I think it's going to be very hard to overcome. And I think the Dodgers, they're probably going to be one of the teams that are going to fight the whole, but, and they could easily look at, hey, Mets, all these Phillies, Phillies are playing better now, but it's, and I honestly, okay, so Pump the Brakes Full Throttle, when you look at those teams, like the Mets or even the Phillies and that, does this almost, and I've been a critic at times of him too, but does it almost give you the sense like this shows kind of the importance of who your manager is? Because Dave Roberts, I was like, okay, look at this team.
Anybody could run this team, but
you look at these other teams that are spending money on this, and then you look at like the Brewers and Pat Murphy and all that. Because I'll admit it, years past, I kind of was like, okay, how important is the manager in baseball? And now you look at it from both ends. The Dodgers with all this talent, and they actually are winning. And then you see teams with all this big payroll and a lot of good players, and they're not winning. And then the Brewers, who are just a bunch of misfits, but they still continue to win with a lot of young. I'm seeing like maybe a change, in my opinion, where, having that right manager is a big deal now.
Manager matters.
Managers matter. Heck, Cleveland, for crying. I know we focus on Pat Murray, but Stephen Vogt's also a back-to-back manager of the year, and they have the second lowest payroll in Major League Baseball.
Right.
So I kind of look at that and like, yeah, I'm probably moving up manager on the priority list.
Yeah.
And I know I was kind of critical of but I also think for Dave Roberts, he is under a lot of pressure too, though. You have those players and that you better win, and hey, they have, right? I mean, they have. So, but it's going to be an interesting, I think, how this season finishes off. I think a lot is going to depend on who ends up winning the World Series.
Even though maybe you shouldn't judge on what you just saw, a lot of people will.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. I feel like it's going to be a big recency thing.
Yes.
When it comes to it. So, pump the brakes full throttle right now. If you had to lay a futures bet in Major League Baseball for the awards, Judge and Ohtani are your MVPs. Again.
Probably. I mean, I'm going to go full throttle. Like, that's just a safe bet. You're not going to win much money on it, but it's a safe bet.
Yeah. Because I don't see baseball doing what the NBA does. All right, that guy's won it twice. We're going to go find somebody else.
Right.
Because we talk about that with the NBA MVP all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Barry Bonds won it 7 times, for crying out loud. And I love the people that are criticizing Ohtani for focusing maybe too much on pitching because his numbers on the offensive side are lacking. The dude's got a sub-1 ERA, for crying out loud. I mean, for God's sakes here.
I don't know. Maybe I'd like him to focus a little less on pitching.
Right? So it's
if that's what he's going to do.
I mean, this guy is unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the thing is like, I kind of trust him to figure it out offensively, and I think he'll be fine. Mm-hmm. I think he's still going to be any opposing team, pitcher, manager saying, okay, he stinks at the plate right now, let's go after him. You're an idiot, sort of thing. But it's unbelievable what we're watching right now with Ohtani. Unbelievable. So, pump the brakes, full throttle. Let's stay with Major League Baseball. The first quarter of the season, the most disappointing team is the Mets.
Full throttle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you don't believe us, just ask a Met fan.
Should we ask a Met fan?
I don't know. I don't know if that's a conversation you want to have, but yeah, it's you can see the frustration there, and obviously this is a team that, and I think especially the frustration's there because of the turnover.
Yeah.
And on the roster. It'd be I'm sure they wouldn't be as frustrated if they had brought back Pete Alonso and a lot of these popular players and it wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the first off season, I think, where you kind of really saw David Stearns try to build a team in his image and the things he likes to do, maybe the things we saw in Milwaukee a little bit.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked. And I think that's kind of been the point of contention for Mets fans where it's something where, you let Pete Alonso go and you bring in Jorge Polanco to play first base, and that really hasn't worked. He's never really played first base full time. He's more of a second baseman or a third baseman, and the pitching. David Stearns, going back to his time in Milwaukee, has never really liked to pay for pitching. He's not alone in that, but he doesn't like to pay for top end pitching. Mm-hmm. Well, if you're not getting great results from those pitchers, then that does not look good.
Right. Could you see potentially maybe Freddie Peralta gets traded before the deadline?
Maybe.
Wouldn't that be something? Man. Because, I mean, if the Mets are clearly maybe out of it.
What's the point of keeping them?
Right. Because maybe he doesn't want to stay there.
David, if you're listening, and I know you probably are, how about do the team that allowed you to kind of exit gracefully, a solid, send Freddie to the AL.
Yeah.
Send them somewhere. Send them to Cleveland or somewhere to Seattle, whoever. Send them somewhere to the AL where he can thrive.
Why do you think he'll thrive in the AL?
Yeah, I just don't want him in the NL.
Okay, that's
I'm just saying,
send
him somewhere where he can thrive. Not like he will. It's something.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. But somewhere he can go.
Essentially, you don't want to have to face him. Potentially.
Correct. Just come on.
Yep.
Do him solid.
Do him solid. Right. Pump the brakes, full throttle though. When it. What was my other baseball one? I had another, and I got sidetracked here. Son of a gun. Oh, no. I was going to just randomly say, would maybe the second one be Toronto? I don't know, 1924 start for Toronto for a team that made the World Series last year?
I mean, maybe, but that's not anything I look at and think, okay, well, I don't know if they can come back from that. You see what the Mets are, I'm like, I think they're probably toast.
Yeah.
I think my NL.
Toronto is still only 2 games back for wild card
Right. For the Mets, it's I picked them to win the NL East. I don't think that's probably good.
This was what I was going to ask. Pump the brakes, full throttle, with it being rivalry weekend in Major League Baseball. Is the best rivalry in baseball still Yankees and Red Sox currently?
I'm gonna say I'll go Full Throttle, but it's very close because there's a few others. Dodgers Padres is kind of
was my pick.
I say that's become really fun.
That's been my pick. Brewers Cubs.
I'm throwing Brewers Cubs a bone, especially after last year.
I think historical standpoint, I don't think you can beat Red Sox.
But
from a competitive and anger, it's not the early 2000s that we witnessed.
Yeah, I think when they're not really right this year, but I would say Phillies Mets is in there too. Where when those two teams are going, they're at each other.
Right.
Philly's just at everybody. But those are some other ones I would bring up. But so I would say Full Throttle, but barely. But Padres Dodgers is, and Giants Dodgers is that way too when the Giants are better.
Right.
But right now Padres are a consistently better team. So
yep. I'm probably going to pump the brakes and say the Dodgers and Padres because that was the first team I had. Again, historically, it's Yankees Red Sox, but I think right now, if I had to pick a rivalry to watch and it's all on TV, I'm turning on Dodgers Padres. Or if it was Brewers Cubs, I'm taking Brewers Cubs off the table here and taking the
putting them off to the side. Boom, non-factor.
Exactly. It's not Brewers Twins. It's
Twins
it's a friendly.
Yes.
It's like soccer.
It's a friendly.
It's a friendly. So, but no, it's a lot of it is both teams are competitive and both teams are good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we saw Packers Bears up it up.
Right, that rivalry for the first time in a while finally has some juice in it because, for the first time in a while, the Bears are finally good.
Yeah, because it was pretty much just Packers Vikings.
Yeah, and that's why for a time, obviously I'm biased, but I consider that to be a little bit bigger of a rivalry because it was more competitive. Even though you may hate it but that's how any great rivalry has to be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be just one team beating the other every single year. That's fun, but that's not that doesn't make a rivalry.
That's why Duke and North Carolina has always kind of been solid too.
A Texas Oklahoma or Alabama Auburn has weighted in Alabama's favor, but it seems like when Auburn wins, it's always crazy.
Right. Yep. No, I would agree with that. So. Or Michigan, Ohio State as of late here, too.
Right, so, because for that long period when Ohio State won, look, that's probably really fun for Buckeyes fans, but, kind of makes the rivalry a little boring.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I'd agree. Let's go pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. Full Throttle. Where's my list? It just went away. I had a couple texts come in. All right, Pump the Brakes, Full Throttle. The top two right now sorry, I got distracted. Someone
walked by and you nodded.
I nodded. Pump the Brakes, Full Throttle. The top two Cy Young candidates in the National League are Paul Skeens and Jacob Misiorowski.
Yeah.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
Right now.
Paul Skeens for sure. I wasn't sure about Miz.
Obviously, maybe Miz and obviously Otani's got to be in there.
That's where I was going. Skeens and Otani.
Come on, come on, Shohei. Let someone else have a little bit of attention.
Spend more time with your dogs. You
don't have to. You don't have to be the best at everything.
Is he though? I mean, he's the best baseball player in our life. Is he, sir? Okay, let me back up here for a second. Okay, the best player during our childhood was Ken Griffey.
I mean, depending on how long you go childhood, and I know this may be a little controversy, but I kind of got to think Barry Bonds too.
Okay, so you're picking Bonds or Griffey? Who are you going?
Bonds.
In their primes. You're going Bonds over Griffey?
Yep.
You are nuts. You really? Wow. Okay.
I would go Bonds.
All right. Well, I'm going Griffey.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
This kind of changes the question I was going to ask, but is Otani the best player in baseball that you've seen in your lifetime?
Yes.
Yeah.
And obviously, a big chunk of it is the fact that he does both things. He pitches and hits. That's the ultimate
at a high level.
Right,
too.
right. It's not like he's a great hitter and a good pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's great at both.
Mm-hmm. I kind of, and this might be a good one here. So I've been toying with an idea, like kind of a new video series and such, something like a sports lab or something. And it was essentially maybe like part of it is Ohtani versus Ruth. Who wins? And we kind of have some simulations and some numbers and kind of some debate. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Something like that? Would it be kind of...
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Kind of like a what-if sort of thing?
Right.
You know, these matchups that we never got to see or, you know, kind of the debate. It's like we put them in a lab and it's like celebrity death match with the claymation sort of thing on there. But and obviously Ruth was way before our time, but it sure seems like Ohtani is a better pitcher than what Ruth was. Based on it's so hard with generation.
It is. It seems that way.
Because this is the thing I think I've gotten better at over the years too. Ruth probably can't pitch in today's game.
Right.
Ohtani, heck yes, he could pitch back then. Because guys, I'm sorry, are bigger, faster, stronger, probably more athletic. So I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare. Because I know a lot of people will use this saying, well, could they play in today's game? Well, a lot of the guys back then probably couldn't. Fuzzy Thurston could not play offensive guard in today's game at 240 pounds or whatever he was, right? But that's not fair to downgrade a guy like Fuzzy Thurston because that was the era.
Yeah, right.
Of course, Brett Favre could play in the 60s, and Brett Favre would probably be the greatest quarterback of all time. I don't know if anybody could catch the ball, though, from Favre, the way he threw back then. But, okay, Lamar Jackson running around back in the 60s, anybody catching him? Probably not. No. So I don't think it's fair to say, because a lot of people say, well, that guy couldn't play back then, or that guy could play in any era. I think a lot of players in any sport in today's era can play in any era because they are bigger, faster, stronger. Now, rules, could it limit some of them? Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you go back to the old physical days.
You know, some quarterbacks, if they went to play back then, they'd have to learn some things.
Yep.
As far as
like a Dick Butkus coming up the middle.
You're not going to get protected as much, so that's just something you'd have to adjust to.
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of the same for basketball for me too. You know, everybody's like, "Well, LeBron, could he play in that physical era?" I think he's got the body size to do it.
Yeah. I think he would just be in for a rude awakening the first couple times he tried to flop on, I would
100% agree with that. So I do think the uniqueness part, though, with like older guys than playing in today's era, like I do feel like Jordan could play in today's era.
I think, Bird could play today.
You know, that's where then you can say, okay, those are GOATs.
Right.
You know, when you see those guys able to play and older guys playing in the new era, if you will. Because, and I don't mean this in any of this, I don't think Bart Starr could play in today's NFL. You know, like arm strength and all that. I fit from a athletic, physical standpoint. You know, the arm strength and that. That's not a knock on him, though.
Right.
He was great in his generation, in his era.
Yeah, it's not a knock because, I mean, we're speaking in hypotheticals, but we feel like we have some rationale for for said hypotheticals.
Somebody asked, are you going Bonds because of the injuries to Griffey? If we take injuries off, though.
I think that's part of it because I think, look, you can say Barry Bonds has two very distinctive, extremely high-level primes. Now, look, you can say why he has a second prime, but, you know, the production's the production, the numbers, the numbers. And Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before he got to San Francisco. He was a completely different player for reasons that we believe to be true. But at the same time, like I can't punish him for something that he was never taken off the field. He was never taken out the field for.
So let me put it this way then. Bonds with Pittsburgh, Griffey with the Mariners.
Okay. I may lean a little bit more towards Griffey then.
Okay.
But the fact is, I mean, you look at Bonds' numbers with the Giants, they are so overwhelming. Like, nobody has, gotten even close. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the old, walking in with the bases loaded just so they didn't have to pitch to him to walk in and run stuff.
Yeah, that's sick. So.
Yeah, look, and I think at his peak, Griffey obviously all-time great center fielder, like defender, and Bonds played left field, so not as high on the defensive spectrum. But right. I just think the offense there is just so overwhelming. And yes, it would be maybe a little different if Griffey had aged gracefully into the 2000s. Mm-hmm. I think that hurts his case.
It does. That's where I was like, okay, what if we narrow it? Because it's two different stories for each player, right?
Right. Oh, yeah.
You got Griffey with the Mariners, who's amazing, and, you're talking GOAT net. And like you said, Bonds was a Hall of Famer with Pittsburgh. And then you go to Cincy with the injuries, and then you go Bonds with the Giants with questionable stuff.
I mean, obviously we're like even.
Are you looking up WAR right now?
No, I'm not even classifying this by WAR, but just looking at Bonds, like, obviously we know in 2001 he had 73 home runs, but like 2002, 46 home runs, hits 370 with a 582 on base.
He hit 370?
And this is across 143 games.
He hit 370?
He hit 370. The next year he's 341. The next year he's 362. Like,
okay, I will say this number surprises me. I did look up WAR between these two. Yeah. Somebody is double.
And it's always like, and I'm assuming it's Bonds.
Bonds is double.
And it's always like WAR, depending on who is, compiling it's going to be subjective. Like, his early in the year, earlier in his career, he's going to have great defensive numbers. Look, by the end of his career, Barry Bonds was not a good defensive player. That's not how he was out there. But like, the crazy thing I look at is like Bonds was never, like, as much as we think of him as this big slugger, he was never a strikeout guy. His career strikeout rate is 12%. Like, and I mentioned that 2002. He walked a third of the time. One of every three plate appearances ended in a walk for him. He struck out less than 8% of the time that year.
I might throw this out for everybody else to kind of chime in, but let me phrase it this way and see if you would agree with how I phrase it. Instead of saying who's better, whose career would you rather have?
Okay.
Is that fair?
No, that's very fair. Because then you have to factor in Ken Griffey's a Hall of Famer, Barry Bonds is not.
Right.
Ken Griffey, I think probably universally a beloved player. Mm-hmm. Barry Bonds is not.
Right.
Like, that's I think
officially Bonds' numbers are on the top.
Yeah.
Right?
Bonds has the superior numbers. Neither player won a World Series.
Mm-hmm. So, okay.
Barry Bonds has hit the most home runs in baseball history, but he is not, he's not always viewed as being the home run king.
And I think, and I think for this, we have to do our best to take away personal feelings.
Yes.
Because, no, I don't think a lot of us would probably, like, we're going to look at Bonds and be like, for example, my kid who's going to be 9 is like, no, it's Hank Aaron's, because he knows, like, what Bonds did. Right. I think for this exercise, try to take away your personal feelings towards it and look at it and be like, would I have done what Bonds did and this is what I get?
Yeah.
Or do I go with Griffey and there's a big what if I don't get hurt?
Right. And to me, that's what makes this a lot more of a conversation, because there's so many more factors in play. Mm-hmm. It's not just looking at production.
Yep. Let's dive into this in the next hour for sure. Really dive into it. I think we found a good topic to hit.
Yeah.
Let's get some people chiming in on this. So we're playing a little behind, so we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes.